Hello there. I hope you're having a great day today. They're doing a lot of tree trimming outside, so if it's real noisy, I apologize. There's nothing really I can do about that. Today we are working on a psalm to help people with debt. So if you have financial debt, karmic debt, any kind of debt, this is helpful. We're using Psalm 97. Psalm 97 has obviously all of the Psalms can be used for many different things. Each Psalm can. This Psalm also is often used to help with families that have there's families that are not speaking or whatever, to bring the family back together. It's often helpful for people who are having trouble with the law, but we're using it in its debt-free use today. So we're going to free ourselves from debt. Now we've made a talisman of Saturn also to help us with debt today. And again, Saturn is not just for debt. You can use Saturn, and for us, the Archangel Cassiel. We can also deals with old age and diseases of old age and antiques and long-standing problems, karma, all kinds of stuff like that. So, but we're going to read this Psalm number 97 and focusing a little bit more on the debt aspect of all of that today. And if you've never done a psalm with us before, we see these as spells, and we do not read them religiously. We read them magically. And the way we do that is we read it through once as an incantation. So if some of this stuff kind of goes, when you first hear it, just kind of just sit through it and listen and let it sink in. And then we go through it line by line and verse by verse, and we actually go in and find the magical meanings that are hidden within the psalm, so that those little seeds, those little nuggets, can be planted within our consciousness and bring forth the results that we are after. So we take them very, very personally, and all of the characters, everything that's being talked about in the psalm, we recognize as being parts of ourselves, nothing external from us. All right? So let's get going with this. This is Psalm number 97. The Lord reigneth. Let the earth rejoice. Let the multitude of isles be glad thereof. Clouds and darkness are round about him. Righteousness and judgment are the habitation of his throne. A fire goeth before him, and burneth up his enemies round about. His lightnings enlightened the world. The earth saw and trembled. The hills melted like wax at the presence of the Lord, at the presence of the Lord of the whole earth. The heavens declare his righteousness, and all the people see his glory. Confounded be all they that serve graven images, that boast themselves of idols. Worship him, all ye gods. Zion heard and was glad, and the daughters of Judah rejoiced because of thy judgments, O Lord. For thou, Lord, art high above all the earth. Thou art exalted far above all gods. Ye that love the Lord hate evil. He preserveth the souls of his saints. He delivereth them out of the land of the wicked. He delivereth them out of the hand of the wicked. Light is sown for the righteous, and gladness for the upright in heart. Rejoice in the Lord, ye righteous, and give thanks at the remembrance of his holiness. Okay, so the Lord, let's remember what the Lord is. The Lord means the life principle, that which is the life principle, that which beats our heart, that which keeps the planets on their course, that which causes seeds to become plants and flowers, that which causes embryos to become babies, all of that. So it always behooves us to consider what the Lord means, what that means. So infinite principle, pure love, perfect love, the life principle itself, the principle of infinite intelligence, knows all, sees all, pure power, the one and only power. There is nothing to oppose it. So that's what we mean when we say the Lord reigneth. Of course, the Lord reigneth. Life is. That's it. Life is. Remember that when Moses asked, "Who are you?" at the burning bush, God said, "I am that I am." So the life is. That's it. Just life is. Let the earth rejoice. So the earth is malkut. It's the manifestation here. It is the effect of that which is in the mind. So the ultimate cause is God, and the ultimate effect is perfection. And so when the earth rejoice, that means that all of everything within this realm here, when it rejoices because the Lord reigneth, that means that all of what that's telling us is that all of the manifestations are rearranging themselves so that they are reflecting the perfection, rather than our own vain imaginings, which are illusions, and those become problems. And so all of our problems, when we rejoice, when the earth rejoices, all those problems become reordered so that they're no longer problems, and they become solved. Let the multitude of isles be glad thereof. Well, what are the multitude of isles? Islands within you. So all of that which is dry land within us and within our lives. Every little thing, every little manifestation is going to, multitudes of manifestations are going to be glad. And when they're glad, then they are reordered. Excuse me. Clouds and darkness are round about him. So all of the problems, all the darkness is around God, but righteousness and judgment are the habitation of his throne. So even though there are problems that when we are looking, we are trying to look at God, we see clouds and darkness around him, but righteousness and judgment are the habitation of God. So he's living in the righteousness, and he judges, and we want God to judge. It's so important to understand that judgment doesn't mean, I hope he doesn't send me to hell. No. That is just like the worst child abuse that has been wreaked upon humanity for centuries. God's judgment simply means God judges whether it's real or it's false. God judges whether it's worthy of you or not. We aren't capable of judging for ourselves because we know we make mistakes. We know we judge wrongly. We know we think something's valuable that's not. So left to our own devices, we create problem after problem after problem. But God, the principle of infinite truth, the principle of infinite intelligence, it can look at our life and say, yes, no, yes, no. And we want that because then everything starts working for us. Remember, because the multitudes are glad. Fire goeth before him and burneth up his enemies round about. That's the same thing as the judgment of God. It just burns away your problems. In this case, it burns away your debts. Isn't that great? So a fire goes before and burneth up all those debts. You don't have to do anything about it. The debts will be burned. It's not coming from you, it's coming from God, which is in you, and you are part of God. But think of yourself as a sunbeam to the sun. You are not the sun itself, but you are definitely part of the sun, right? A wave in the ocean is not the ocean, but it's definitely part of the ocean. And there's no two sunbeams alike, and there's no two waves alike, there's no two snowflakes alike, there's no two fingerprints alike. So you are a very unique expression of God, right? But all of your enemies, in this case your debts, are just going to get burned up because of this, what we're doing. His lightnings enlighteneth the world, the earth saw and trembled. So the earth sees God and trembles, and that's a good thing. Trembling because of fear in the Bible just means you're so in awe. You are so respectful. It's so different from what we think the day-to-day world is. Once we invite this energy into our life, this power, this supreme power into our life, everything shakes because it's so new, it's so different, and it's a good different. The hills melted like wax at the presence of the Lord, at the presence of the Lord of the whole earth. Okay, why would the hills melt like wax? Well, let's look at the hills as your debts. Some of those debts seem mountainous, don't they? Some of those debts seem insurmountable. Well, they're just melting like candle wax in front of the Lord. They're no big deal to God. It's no big deal. They don't even exist as far as he's concerned. The only thing that's keeping them in place is our belief in them. So they are going to melt like wax. And I'm going to talk about your responsibility in all of this in a minute. The heavens declare his righteousness, and all the people see his glory. So the heavens means the habitation of God. It's declaring his righteousness, right? And all the people, meaning all of the personality aspects of you, all the different aspects of you are seeing the glory of God. And the glory means that which glows. It's the aura of God, the power of God, the beauty of God, okay? And all of that is your glory as well, because you were created just like God. So as the people within you see God's glory, they become aware of their own glory, and everything that is not glorious is shined away. Just like when you turn on a light, the darkness is shined away. It's gone. Confounded be all they that serve graven images, that boast themselves of idols. Worship him, all ye gods. Okay, so this does not mean that you can't call upon Isis. This does not mean that you can't call upon Apollo. This does not mean that you cannot call upon Cernunnos. Okay, graven images. Where is this? Oh, all you that serve graven images. What's a graven image? That means a graven image is something that you make, something that you make yourself. You grave it, and then you put it there, and you worship it as if it's your creator. Now, isn't that silly? But that's what your debts are. They are idols. They are graven images that you're worshiping. If you were not worshiping those idols, A, you wouldn't be in debt, and B, you wouldn't be so freaked out about them. So recognize that what you're afraid of and what you think is so powerful, these debts, you think they are so powerful, you think they are God, and they are gods to you. Anything that you worship as God that is not God turns you into its slave. So you've been enslaved by your own graven image, that which you made. Okay, so it's telling you to knock that off. So anything is a graven image like that. It can be a love affair if you think that that's more important than God. It can be debts, it can be money, it can be your car, it can be any of those things. Those things are wonderful in and of themselves if they're seen in their true light, meaning that they are out picturings. They are part of, they are out picturings of your own divinity. So there's nothing wrong with having money, there's nothing wrong with having relationships, but where they become problematic is when they become more important than God, more important than anything else. And they become, because then all of a sudden we think that they are the cause of your good. And that's when they're graven images. So your debts are not God. Remember that. So, okay. Worship him, all ye gods. Okay, so all the gods in your life, you want to worship the supreme God, in this case, the life principle. So anytime you start freaking out about your debts, just turn your attention away from the debt and back onto infinite intelligence. Zion heard and was glad. Now, Zion is the hill inside of you. Zion is that exalted part of you. It's your higher self. It's the part that you can climb up to and actually be one with God. Zion heard and was glad, and the daughters of Judah rejoiced because of thy judgments. Okay. All right. So anyway, where were we? Okay. Zion heard and was glad, and the daughters of Judah rejoiced because of thy judgment. Okay. So Judah, the character Judah represents praise and gave birth to the tribes of the Israelites. So the daughters of Judah became the mothers of Israel. And remember that through praise, Israel was peopled, and Israel is our own higher self. All right. So the daughters of Judah rejoice because of thy judgments, O Lord. Again, rejoicing because of God's judgments. That God's judgments are a reason to rejoice, not to be afraid. For thou, Lord, art high above the earth. Thou art exalted far above all gods. Remember that infinite intelligence knows everything, is not subject to any of the limitations of this earth. So when we look to infinite intelligence, we are looking to the solution to the problem, and we don't have to worry about how it's going to be taken care of. When we work magic like this, we know that we have faith, just like the sun comes up in the morning, that it's going to take place, and we don't have to worry about how, when, where, why. So when you're done working magic like this, you don't nag yourself. You don't look and see what's going on. How come it's not working? That's all that does is put you back into the being an idol worshiper, right? Ye that love the Lord hate evil. Now, hating evil just means that you turn away from evil. That means that you're no longer tempted by it. You're no longer seduced by it. So all of the stuff that got you into the problems in the first place, all that stuff is you're no longer going to have a taste for all of that stuff that got you into the problems. All of that stuff is just going to move away from you now. So ye that love the Lord hate evil. He preserveth the soul of his saints. Now the saints are all of those thoughts within you, all those thought forms within you that are working for your good. So all of those dark thought forms are now being replaced by these better thought forms, these good thought forms that actually work, that actually create results in your life that are wonderful, and he preserves those. He preserves those, so you don't have to worry about like keeping those alive. God preserves those. He delivered them out of the land of the wicked. That means that all of this stuff that you're dealing with, as long as you keep your mind focused on God, on the good, on infinite intelligence, on the solution, he's going to deliver you right out of the land of all this horrible debt or whatever it is that you're dealing with. Light is sown for the righteous, and gladness for the upright in heart. So righteous means right actions, right thinking, that which is aligned with infinite intelligence, that which is aligned with truth. It's the idea between truth and error, light and darkness. So light is sown. That means those seeds that we're talking about in these psalms are being sown in the right part, those saintly parts of you, those good thought forms, those thought forms that are going to produce good results in your life. And gladness for the upright in heart. So an upright in heart means that you have joy, that you are not worried anymore. You're not going around, because worry is a thought form that creates more things to worry about. So no longer are you going to be worried. You're going to be upright in heart, and you're going to be glad because the light is sown. That means that all of these new thought forms are going to produce real results. Don't worry about when, don't worry about how, just worry about what. Rejoice in the Lord. Rejoice. Rejoice. That means have joy. Rejoice in the Lord. That's nothing external from you. That's nothing new to you. It's nothing weird. You're not having to join some religion. You're not having to join some cult. You're not having to change your life or become a monk or give up anything that is worthwhile. All it's telling you is have rejoice in the power that made you. Have rejoice in life itself. Joy of life, the joy of life, the joy of truth, the joy of living, the joy of thinking right thoughts, thinking thoughts that exalt you. Rejoice in the Lord, ye righteous. All of those thought forms which are godly, rejoice. All right? And give thanks at the remembrance of his holiness. So you want to give thanks every time you think about these things. You want to think about these things as often as possible. So if you're really dealing with some debts and it's really worrying about you, you may want to work this psalm like 3 times a day. It's not that long, just to keep you back on the beam. And every time that you start noticing that you're worried about your debts, how's it going to happen? Just chill the heck out, calm down, and pivot. You got to learn how to pivot back onto some decent thoughts. So you can remember, you can take some of these verses and memorize them. Rejoice in the Lord, ye righteous, and give thanks at the remembrance of his holiness. You could memorize that and use that as your little incantation every time, as your little spell. Anytime you start getting down the rabbit hole of worry. Or you can take, like we did, we had some English words in here. We had peace, absolution, and freedom. So peace, absolution, and freedom is what we are going to think every time we worry about whatever these problems are. If you have debt, if you have, I mean, even if it's really serious and it's just like, I don't know, are they going to come and like repossess my home, all that stuff? Well, then it's time for you to really get serious about this magic, okay? So let's talk about your responsibilities now. Don't think that you understand what to do, all right? You ask what to do. You ask what to do. When you're working psalm magic, you do the work and then you do what is in front of you to do. You don't put yourself in the future. Don't put yourself in the past. Stay in the present moment. That's where God lives. In the present moment, when something is right in front of you to do, you ask. You say, and by asking, we claim, infinite intelligence is guiding me now. Infinite intelligence is guiding me now. Infinite wisdom is guiding me now. I make the right decisions. I do the right thing. And one tiny little step at a time. Write what's in front of you to do. Don't even think one day at a time. Think one thought at a time. 1 second at a time. One thing at a time. Right? Now, one thing you can do if you have a lot of financial debts is make a list of them if you haven't done that. Make a whole list of them and how much you owe and what you owe and how much it is and all of that, who it is, and bring those to God. Bring those to the psalm and say, these are the things. I don't know what to do about this. And then read this psalm and do the magic. And then you'll be guided. Maybe you're gonna call each of them and see if they'll work with you. Maybe you're gonna call a lawyer. Maybe you're gonna file bankruptcy. All of those things are sometimes appropriate as long as you're being divinely guided. Divinely guided. You never know what can happen. Sometimes you'll win a huge windfall and it all gets paid off. I mean, you never know, but just know that the debts are going to be taken care of and that you're going to do what is in front of you to do, and you're going to listen and be guided and not make your own choices anymore. You don't decide by yourself anymore. You ask to be shown, you ask to be guided. One thing at a time. Now, if you're not meditating or things like that on a daily basis, I recommend that you do that. And it's really easy. All you do is just sit down, you calm your body, and you set your timer. And if you've never meditated before, set your timer for 1 minute on your phone. And you're just going to sit there and think one thought for a minute. A good thought is blessed be. Just blessed be. Just think nothing but blessed be. When your mind wanders, gently bring it back. Keeping relaxed. And then the next day, do 2 minutes. The next day, do 3 minutes. The next day, do 4 minutes. And keep going until you get up to 15 minutes a day or so. Okay? And then you can change what you're meditating on. Maybe you'll meditate on a verse from one of these psalms. Maybe you'll find an affirmation that you like. Maybe it's one of these seed thoughts that we're giving. Maybe all you're going to do is meditate on the word peace. Meditate on the word absolution. Meditate on the word freedom. Right? And when you can do that, then your ability to be guided is enhanced because your mind you've trained your mind not to be off on too many tangents and trying to make up its own mind, trying to make up your own decisions about what to do. Remember that your best thinking got you here. So your best thinking is not going to get you out of whatever the problem is. What you want to do instead is focus your mind and ask for the higher power to come in and guide you to the next step. And when you work the psalmic magic, be ready for it to be solved. You should see major movement in the right direction in no more than 2 weeks. If you're not, then something's wrong. Get a hold of us and let us help you troubleshoot it, okay? I hope this has been good for you, and we will see you real soon. I love you very, very much, and I've got you in my prayers, and I know for certain that this is going to be taken care of beautifully, whatever it is that you're working on. I love you very much. Blessed be.